The Pinkerton National Detective Agency established itself as a premier surveillance and intelligence body during the second half of the 19th century. Founded in 1850 by Scotsman Alan Pinkerton, the Pinkerton Detective Agency was once the largest private law enforcement organization in the world. Today, we're going to take a look at how the Pinkerton Agency laid the foundation for the modern FBI and CIA. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below what other secret agencies you would like to hear about. Okay, so let's talk about the friend to honesty and a foe to crime. Alan Pinkerton, born in Glasgow, Scotland in 1819, was a political and social activist who was enough of an agitator to earn himself an arrest warrant in 1842. Not looking to spend time in the slammer, he and his wife, Joan, fled to America. They made their way to the Chicago area, where Pinkerton found work as a cooper, building and repairing barrels and casks. The Pinkertons eventually settled in Dundee, Illinois, where Alan set up his own cooperage. One day, while he was out chopping wood, he happened upon a group of counterfeiters. He captured and turned them in, which gave him some adulation in his community. Soon, people were asking him to investigate local crimes. In his memoir, Pinkerton recalled he was suddenly called upon from every quarter to undertake matters requiring the detective's skill. He was good at it and soon attained the role of Kane County's deputy sheriff in 1846. A few years later, in 1849, he became the first police detective in Chicago. In 1850, Alan Pinkerton, who was then a police officer in Chicago, Illinois, founded the Northwestern Police Agency with lawyer Edward Rucker. This group eventually became the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. The agency built its name mainly by working with railroad companies, providing services ranging from investigation and private security to the pursuit and capture of criminals. The Pinkertons, a moniker they adopted, quickly became the respectable choice.
The reason why we're watching a bunch of fucking Pinkerton videos is because they're kind of shitty. Not even kind of shitty. They're historically shitty. They're historical villains in American society as, a group of, like, private military contractors at a time when, like, policing was just being formed as an institution. And they basically created, this perfectly explains it. They laid the foundation for the FBI and the CIA and did the same things that the FBI and CIA still does to this day, which is like, protecting the interests of capital. And these guys still engage in anti-union activity, corporate espionage, and the like. And most famously, recently, the MTG company, Magic the Gathering card company, was it Wizards of Waverly Coast or whatever? They literally fucking sent the Pinkertons to a YouTuber's house because they accidentally sent the YouTuber the, unreleased, what is it, Wizards of the Coast? I've literally worked with them. I don't even fucking remember what their name is. Anyway, like Hasbro basically sent a toy company, basically fucking sent a YouTube channel, a YouTube content creator, the corporate paramilitary soldiers to threaten this fucking random YouTuber because they fucking put out a YouTube video with the unreleased box that they had sent him on accident.
For security in the Chicago area. By 1866, they would be so successful they were able to open branches in New York City and Philadelphia. After Abraham Lincoln became president in 1860, the agency impressed him too, when Pinkerton agents, including Kate Warren, the agency's first female private detective.
Why is there so much pro-Pinkerton propaganda on YouTube? Like both of the videos that we watched kind of make it seem like they were good and not like questioning the legality or illegality or why it wasn't immediately made illegal, even though it was made illegal later down the line because of how fucking out of hand it got, where you could just do like murders for the sake of a corporation.
Discovered a plan to kill Lincoln in 1861. It was intended to take place while the president-elect visited Baltimore, Maryland, on the way to Washington, D.C. In truth, the case pretty much cracked itself when the would-be assassins, Cipriano Ferrandini, accompanied by the Palmetto Guards, openly discussed their plans in front of a disguised Pinkerton. Ferrandini boasted about how with his first shot, the chief...
It's kind of cool that Red Dead literally did a better job of showcasing how fucking corrupt and violent the Pinkertons were than like half of these like YouTube historians. What the fuck's going
Traitor
on?
Lincoln will die. Then all Maryland will be with us, and the South will be forever free. After hearing this, Pinkerton arranged for Lincoln to travel by secret train to escape the threat. Lincoln assumed the disguise of her invalid brother to avoid notice. The president-elect made it to Washington safely, and due to the detective agency's
He
success.
said invalid. Bro, this guy is literally fucking. He's not only a history YouTuber, but he also is like literally a part of ancient history, dude. He used the R word from like Deadwood times. You know what I mean?
Lincoln hired the Pinkertons as a secret service of sorts during the Civil War. Kate Warren's life-saving plan, which required her to stay awake through Lincoln's entire journey, became famous, and the agency soon thereafter adopted the slogan, "We never sleep." Once President Abraham Lincoln hired Alan Pinkerton, he earned the wider political support of the famous detective. The Pinkerton Agency not only provided bodyguards to the president, but they also gathered military information on the Confederacy. To accomplish this, some Pinkertons disguised and planted themselves with the Confederate military. Even Alan Pinkerton himself took to traveling under the alias Major E.G. Allen as a means of gathering intelligence. As a fellow abolitionist, Pinkerton became close with the president, serving as both a protector and confidant. When the Pinkerton Agency hired Kate Warren in 1856, it was because she was a woman, not in spite of it. The Pinkertons were well known for tracking down thieves and infiltrating criminal groups, but Warren had a way for the detectives to increase their efficacy. Warren walked into the Pinkerton office in Chicago and told Alan Pinkerton about her particular skills to acquire information in a way men couldn't replicate. Pinkerton, who figured Warren wanted to apply for a receptionist position, was resistant at first, but also pragmatic enough to give her a try. Warren's skills weren't limited to stereotypical feminine wiles. During her first big case, she befriended a train robber's wife and obtained information about the location of his money stash. Pinkerton was so impressed by her results, he took to hiring women one step further and built a full female bureau of agents to work for the agency. Purportedly, there are no pictures of Warren because she was that good at her job. Sounds like we should do a story on that lady. Thanks to the work of Kate Warren, the Pinkerton Agency's logo became a large eye with the motto, "We never sleep."
It's wild that like, what the fuck is wild that they're just like, yeah, the Pinkertons were famous for union busting, and they did it with the girl bosses that they hired, and they did it in a very woke way. Like any story that mentions the Pinkertons without talking about literally not only just like routinely fucking engaging in violent measures to like break strikes, work stoppages, or the like, you know, union busting, but like also corporate espionage is doing a disservice to the history of the Pinkertons because that's what they were hired for. They're making it seem like these guys were like, oh man, at a time when there was no cops to solve crimes, the Pinkertons would go and, you know, find the train robbers. And it's like, no, man, they literally were like doing corporate espionage. They were also attacking other corporations at the behest of one corporation that fucking hired them. They were like mercs, you know?
Then in 1938, a story by mystery writer Raymond Chandler, creator of the famous fictional detective Philip Marlowe, coined the term private eye. While the eye ostensibly stood for investigator, some have suggested that the Pinkerton logo may have been the origin or at least the inspiration for the expression. Eventually, other fiction writers picked up on the term and turned the adventures of various private eyes into a thriving literary genre. The abbreviation PI still exists today, although the romanticized image it evoked waned over time. Alan Pinkerton used creative and innovative techniques to investigate crime and gather information during the Civil War, including sending African Americans behind enemy lines of the Confederacy. For example, take John Scobell, a former slave the Pinkerton Agency recruited in the early 1860s. Scobell posed as a cook, laborer, and vendor, but also often assumed the pretense of a servant of other Pinkerton agents. The information Scobell supplied to the Union included details about troops and local conditions. As a black dispatch, Scobell played a vital role in the war. Sounds like we should do a story on that guy. After the Civil War, the Pinkertons continued to work for the government, but increasingly became the police force of the American West. Railroad companies in need of protection from outlaws like Jesse and Frank James hired the Pinkerton Agency. The James brothers and their gang robbed trains throughout the West during the late 1860s
This is crazy.
and early 1870s. The Pinkertons used operatives and detectives to try and stop them, but to little avail. The outlaws were ruthless. The bandits even killed a top Pinkerton agent, John W. Witcher. His body was discovered with wounds from famished wild hogs. In response, the Pinkertons attempted to be equally ruthless in their efforts, reportedly firebombing the home of the James brothers' mother in 1875. The agency's actions
well deserved, yeah. No, totally. That's just a footnote, dude.
didn't catch the bad guys, but they did manage to maim their mother and kill her younger son. The Pinkertons also took credit.
Bro, why is he writing for them so hard? No, he didn't just... You said no commentary? No, I wish he did no commentary on the firebombing. He said, oh, the Pinkertons managed to kill this dude's mother and his son.
For breaking up Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch, helping drive Butch and the Sundance Kid out of the U.S. That duo fled to Bolivia, where local authorities allegedly took them out. By the 1890s,
yeah, when I said how the Pinkerton Agency, when I thought he was writing an article about how the Pinkerton Agency laid the foundation for the FBI and CIA, I thought they were going to say, like, look how bad it is. Because my brain is that broken, I guess, where I literally personally assume that, like, someone is going to talk about it from, like, a leftist lens. And he literally was like, no, they laid the foundation for the FBI and CIA, and that's super fucking sick. Like, they were doing murders on, like, people that, you know, even the fucking mob doesn't touch. You know what I mean? Like, the moral compass of the Pinkertons, which laid the foundation for the FBI and CIA, was literally worse than the fucking mafia. Okay? Like, individuals that the mafia doesn't touch. Family members of shit the Pinkertons thought were fair play. And that's very cool.
There were more than 2,000 active Pinkertons around the United States, with 30,000 reserve operatives in the wings. For comparison, the U.S. Army of the time had fewer than...
They've yet to fucking bring up, like, strike busting and shit.
30,000 men on active duty. The agency was so large, the state of Ohio banned them, fearing the agency could act as a private army or militia against them. By 1906, there were 20 Pinkerton Agency offices across the United States. Eventually, the Pinkerton Agency's complex methods and systems established the basis for formal government agencies. Organizations like the FBI, the Secret Service, and the CIA took on roles and duties once performed by the Pinkertons, who also functioned as the top information repository in the United States. The creation of the FBI and these other government bodies didn't finish the Pinkertons off, however. They continued to serve as the private investigatory...
There is no way that he's like, this is positive. Well... It's so sick that the FBI was formed. Bro, this is a history channel. Talk about why the FBI was formed, please. Okay, actually don't. On second thought, I legitimately I legitimately don't want to know how he covers the FBI's original formation. I don't think that he is going to talk about it in a negative fashion.
Government bodies didn't finish the Pinkertons off, however. They continued to serve as the private investigatory arm of industrialists, bankers, and corporations. Companies increasingly hired the Pinkertons to bust unions, as well as prevent uprisings among laborers.
Oh, thank God. They prevented uprisings.
By the 1890s, disputes were so volatile, it was practically open warfare between workers and their employers, many of whom recruited the Pinkertons to defend their businesses. In July of 1892, the Carnegie Steel Corporation hired the Pinkertons.
Dude, what were they fighting for? I'm willing to bet you don't fucking work on the weekends, YouTube Andy. Like, what the fuck? Dude, he said defend corporations. What the fuck? Yeah, these uprisings, these violent uprisings were really bad. What were they fighting for? Against child labor, losing fucking digits when they're working in factories because of a lack of workplace safety standards, 8-hour-a-day work weeks, or 8-hour-a-day, 5 days a week work weeks. You know, things that we just literally take for fucking granted now. That's what the fuck who writes a YouTube video and they're like, I'm so glad the Pinkertons were defending the Carnegie Steel interests.
to break up a strike in Homestead, Pennsylvania. The workers unionized and negotiated a 3-year contract in 1889, but the company endeavored to bust the union and impose new conditions. The head of the plant at Homestead, Henry Frick, shut out the protesting workers from the factory, causing a riot. The company called in a force of 300 Pinkertons to face 10,000 armed strikers. At the end of an all-day exchange, 9 workers and 7 Pinkertons died. The state militia later arrived to settle the entire dispute. After the riot, Pinkerton became a dirty word in many circles.
Not this one, though. Not at the Weird History YouTube channel. He did say the laborers hated them for good reasons. Brother, this entire video is written like the Pinkertons paid for it or something. Like, he just glanced over, like, defending businesses and defending the Carnegie interest like it's a fucking mom and pop shop being, like, attacked, by random people.
Until his death in 1884, Alan Pinkerton remained active in his eponymous agency.
He is not a political commentator. Why are you expecting him to do that? I don't think people understand an accurate assessment of historical, of historical events that took place can very easily be misguided or lead the audience to be misguided when you literally cover it with this weird neutrality that makes it seem like the boundaries of which these people were fighting on are on equal footing. Okay, if you look at robber barons and don't mention that they are robber barons, you're basically making it seem like this is a mom and pop shop and this was just like not a understandable labor dispute that actually led to a lot of amenities that you take for fucking granted, but instead like a situation where these lazy fucking laborers were just like demanding way too much from their jobs providers. Okay?
Agency. He even went above and beyond in his efforts to capture Jesse James by using his private funds. After he died, Pinkerton's sons, Robert and William,
they are historians, not advocates. Yes, the problem in this circumstance is, how long have you been in this community? Oh my God, I'm going to cry. When you take on a neutral tone when describing certain historical atrocities, okay, you're basically carrying water for those who committed the historical atrocities. There is no such thing as being an apolitical historian, just like there's no one that is rid of any biases when covering the news in contemporary society. Okay? Go ahead. Describe slavery and the Holocaust in neutral terms. See how that works out for you.
Inherited the agency and helped it grow to a massive size. Robert ran the New York office, where he focused on...
The reason why I'm, like, additionally surprised is because, like, at least, like, the Pinkertons are notoriously, like, bad guys in American popular culture, which is why it's shocking that independent YouTubers would cover them in such a positive light.
Providing security at strike sites. Meanwhile, William headed the Chicago base and turned his attention to solving crimes.
He also literally brought up the firebombing that these motherfuckers engaged in on family members of a dude who, like, they fought against, and he made it seem like, oh, well, you know, they couldn't get him, but at least they got his mom and his fucking son.
Pinkerton's grandson, Alan Pinkerton II, took over the agency in 1907. His son, Robert Pinkerton II, then inherited it in 1930. When Robert died in 1967, the family's leadership of the company finally came to an end. Today, a global security firm, Securitas AB of Stockholm, Sweden, owns the Pinkerton Agency. What do you think of the Pinkerton?
And they happen to subscribe to, they happen to pay for this video.
Hey everyone, I'm the editor. Thanks for watching till the end. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, then please drop a like and subscribe. Why not leave a Kaya L in the comments down below so that I know that you reached this point of the video? If you'd like more content like this one, then check the video up here on top of my head, or literally in front of my face right here.